is on the topic verticalization in e-commerce. I will also request our speakers to kindly be seated in the front row. Up a healthcare wellness technology in Almond Wellness Tech. And we have Mr. Vikram Chopra, who's the co-founder and CEO of Fab Furnish. Vikram has also worked with leading investment banks and firms prior to founding Fab Furnish. Neville, over to you. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for our panel members for the next panel discussion.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to do a slightly different format. Those of you who were there yesterday, I decided to be as part of you because it was important to showcase these wonderful people up there who can then talk to you about what we want to talk about, which is about verticalization of e-commerce. A lot has happened today, and we all read the Economic Times, and there was this big deal which an international MNC went and bought an Indian company, so everybody's talking about a lot of things out there. So I think e-commerce is really driving a lot of things. And what we have today out here is a set of people who have actually done something specifically different from the normal e-commerce, which is creating marketplaces, etc., etc. So I think it's a different viewpoint that you're going to get, and what I want to do is really start with Sameer Saraya, who is the CEO of thatspersonal.com. And Sameer, why don't you tell the audience why thatspersonal.com, keeping in mind the subject matter, which is verticalization of this category.
Okay, thanks. Hi everyone, my name is Sameer. For those of you who don't know, I run a site called That's Personal, which sells adult products in the country. So a few years back, when this whole euphoria of e-commerce was happening, a lot of my friends said, why don't you get into e-commerce? It's the next big thing that's going to happen. And whenever I thought of a category or an industry, it was already taken, whether it was sports, whether it was health, whether it was fashion. And one fine day I was just thinking that what are Indian e-commerce companies doing? And I said, look, most of them are really playing on three pillars. There are the likes of websites who say, buy from me, I'll give you convenience. For example, Flipkart. There are those who say, buy from me, I'll give you the best price. Whether it's a Groupon, whether it's a Make My Trip, and the likes. There's a third set who said, buy from me, I'll give you choice. You want baby products, there's First Cry. You want lens, there's Lenskart. You want fashion, there's Fashion and You. So I said, I'm going to innovate and launch a fourth concept. And my fourth concept is, buy from me and nobody knows. And the idea was that there are people today, including me, who are extremely embarrassed to buy certain products at retail. And suppose I could not buy it at retail, but probably tell my computer, my mobile phone, my tablet, this is what I want. And the next thing I know, it's delivered to me without anybody knowing who I am, seeing my face, any verbal conversation. It was, is there a business big enough for me to get into? And that was how That's Personal was born, the idea of discrete delivery and complete customer privacy.
Okay. So my next question is to Richa. Richa, you run something called yellowgiraffe.com. So
yes.
Are you folks aware of Yellow Giraffe? Anybody out here? Sorry, you can't hear me? Okay. So anybody heard of Yellow Giraffe? Okay. So
wow, I love these two people.
Exactly, yeah. So why don't you tell us about your experience of being in the toys business? That's amazing from what I've seen, but why don't you tell the audience about that?
So Yellow Giraffe is the latest baby in the toys business that we do. I actually started my journey after leaving my job, just making small home videos with my daughter. I was getting bored. I thought I'm going to take a real break, but that never happened. I started making toys, videos with my daughter and started uploading them on a channel, and I just named it Toy Tasting. The reason why I named it Toy Tasting was very simple. I have two daughters. I didn't get to name any of them. One were named by the maternal set of grandparents, the other was named by the paternal set of grandparents. You know how this works. So I didn't get to name anybody. I was like, okay, I'm going to name my channel Toy Tasting. It was 11/11/11, good date. I called up my husband. I said, today is the day we start our channel. And we really had our first live video go up in January 2012. And we saw great success. Today we have 1 million people who come and see our channel on a monthly basis. We have more than 7,000 people who subscribe to our channel. Every time a video is uploaded, they go and see it. And these same people started coming back to us, a lot of them internationally and quite a few of them even in India. Because it's YouTube, of course, it's so, everybody gets to see it, even internationally. A few of them were moms who said that we like what you are doing, why don't you start selling these toys? And we started retailing these toys on Yellow Giraffe. A lot of people ask me, how do you get traffic? I say we sorted that problem first.
Thanks, Richa. So those of you who have not been to the YouTube channel of Yellow Giraffe, please go. It's a fantastic channel. I really loved it. I'm sure you guys will love it. So my question to you, into furnishings. So yesterday in my marketplaces session, someone said, how do you do such bulk e-commerce? How do you ship things? So what's your experience? You want to tell us?
Yeah, sure. So I run Fab.com and we sell furniture and home furnishings online. And as you rightly said, shipping furniture online is a challenge, especially as individual shipments, because if it's a bulk shipment, you could still kind of send a truckload and it's kind of easier, but like individual shipments are a difficult nut to crack. So I think one of the things we do, for example, with furniture from day one is that we primarily focus on knockdown, right from when we sell a bed or a coffee table or even to things like sofas. So 90% of our assortment today is knockdown, and when you have it flat packed, something which is taken out and assembled at the customer end, I think we are able to not just reduce logistics costs, but more importantly, we are able to give a good customer experience, because with a KD product or knockdown product, what you ensure is that you are making damages minimal. As a result, customer experience is better.
Okay. So Murli, we'll come to you. You've heard all three of them. Okay, they've extremely passionate about what they do. They've got pretty successful business model, as I understand from all three of them. What's your view on verticalization of e-commerce with your experience with eBay, etc.? You've been in this business for long. What's your take on it?
I mean, perhaps I could have started off pitching in first, but I think we are jumping a couple of hoops in this entire discussion. And the first question that I want to introduce for this panel, with your permission, Neville, is are we over-verticalizing e-commerce? And this is a question that I've been mulling on for a very long time. And let's set some context here. If you look at the Western markets, it's only after the large horizontal e-commerce sites gain reasonable scale. And if you talk about the United States, you talk about eBay and Amazon gaining a certain amount of reasonable scale, and Walmart.com scaling a little bit before the likes of Zappos and all took off, right? In India, I love the enthusiasm around e-commerce. It is fantastic. But somewhere it is useful for us to look at ourselves in the mirror, the way e-commerce is getting verticalized, and wonder whether a bit too much of this is happening. Now, I'm not in one way questioning the passion of my fellow members in the panel. They have very strong reasons why they do what they do. But the question is, look, there are always going to be consumers for every vertical sliver out there. But if you really ask yourself, what is the significant value proposition one is delivering for a consumer to choose a vertical experience vis-a-vis a horizontal experience? And let's take a few parameters that influences consumer choice. Let's say the broad framework for e-commerce choice making in the consumer's mind is value, which is price, selection, which is variety, and experience overall, right? In terms of value, most of the horizontal e-commerce sites that we see are flush with cash, are able to manage pricing very, very aggressively, either through direct discounting, coupons, and so on and so forth. Would a vertical e-commerce site be able to match that? Point number one. Point number two, when it comes to selection, look, in India today, there are a set number of people who supply to pretty much every e-commerce site. You take apparel, ABCDE furniture, ABCDE electronics, ABCDE. That's not a mystery anymore, right? So sourcing, I wouldn't say it has been cracked, but it has been figured out to a very, very large extent. And I am not seeing too many vertical e-commerce sites in India which purely play in the long tail, which makes them really engaging for the enthusiast. There might be exceptions, overgeneralizing this, there might be exceptions, but nobody's really focusing on playing in the long tail, so they're not winning on selection either. And let's come to experience. I mean, a true vertical e-commerce experience is super engaging. It's got videos and it's got a community built around it. It's a bit like how Fab does it. Am I seeing enough examples of those in vertical e-commerce in India? Unfortunately, I'm not seeing that either. There is very little distinction between a horizontal e-commerce site's, let's say, fashion experience and a vertical e-commerce site's fashion experience. So, where is the big deal on verticalization? Why should the customer even choose that vertical site? Is the question I am asking myself, and it will be great for the panel to mull on.
So first of all, we are in a democracy, so we appreciate your viewpoint, right? So that's not an issue. So I think that's a great viewpoint, and thank you for that. But I want to just push this same question to Richa first, by virtue of being a lady. Okay, so then we come to Sabir. So I just want to ask you what he said. He said the experience part of it. Given a choice, I would go to a specialty site, a vertical site. If I were to buy probably a toy, in your case, I would definitely go to a toy site than a marketplace, because I find huge issues with the selection. I find that I'm bombarded with several things, but probably the experience that your site gives is something which I would like to go there and as a user, engage. So what's your take on it, in terms of what Murli just said?
So I think what Murli clearly said can be segregated into, do you have different merchandising, do you have price differentiation, or do you have a different experience? Merchandising, I'm sure, that person is the right person to answer that. I'll try and answer the experience bit. And before I get there, I just will take probably a minute of your time and try to understand from you, and even probably in the process understand myself, why not verticalization. So when we are looking at verticalization, I think the question in everybody's mind, including mine, is very simple. Do we have enough people who want this? Or do we have enough people who care for this? I think this is a question anybody who's in the vertical business should try and answer.
Did you answer that when you went?
I did. That's how the journey began. Because the journey did not begin by starting Yellow Giraffe. The journey began by starting toy tasting and people asking us for those products, or for selling toys with the aid of a video, or for even saying, give us a mom's review. What does a mom say about this product? Today, in our country, we have vibrant mom communities. Very few of you can be a part of it because it is just open to moms and not even dads. I'm talking about one specific community which is run on Facebook. It's 13,000 plus members. The last discussion which I was answering sitting there, right there, and answering was a very serious question which a mom posed. She said, I'm having problems in my family because I've had a girl child. What should I do? These are serious communities, these are serious questions which people ask. So to just reflect and answer back is, do you have a community who needs you? Do you have a community which is as strong as women communities, or as strong as moms community, which work a lot on word of mouth? I can give you an example. Anybody who stays in Juhu in Bombay always shops from a shop called Green Bell. Irrespective of the fact that there is an Amazon, there is a Flipkart, and there is a Yellow Giraffe. That's the strength of the community, and that's the strength of word of mouth, hence. So it is different, yes.
Yeah, hi. Many people have said this before in terms of 1.0 and 2.0. I think what Murli was referring to is clearly verticalization of e-commerce 1.0. And at that point in time, it's difficult. The big boys obviously have better prices, and it's far more challenging to try and win when they have scale. But when you look at verticalization 2.0, I think the single biggest differentiation, and that's for anyone out here who wants to get into vertical e-commerce, is differentiation. Okay, what is it that you have that the bigger boys don't have? Whether it's product portfolio, whether it's uniqueness, whether it's exclusive products, whether it's the whole shopping experience, and is it the brand? So today, in terms of that puzzle, what we realized was that yes, we need to have unique products, and we went ahead and signed exclusive deals with international brands that we're going to represent you in the country. So the kind of product portfolio that we have today in this space, there's nobody else in the country. No Flipkart, no Snapdeal, nobody else. Secondly, what we do differently is that the entire shopping experience, really in terms of the videos, the product content that we have inside, how to use the product, about the brand, we are far more deeper than anybody else can be so far. And alternatively, in terms of the whole discrete delivery, I mean, this is adult product, this is India. People live in joint families, people have kids at home. When you order from a Flipkart, it's like a standard, it's a factory delivery model. For us, there's a lot of effort that we've put in how to make it discrete, how to ensure that nobody knows in the entire delivery chain of what the customer has ordered. And lastly is, yes, we are working towards building a brand around this. We want it to be a mature adult brand. So when you think of these products, does Flipkart come to your mind or does Personal come to your mind? So at the end of the day, I think differentiation makes a difference in terms of making e-commerce, vertical e-commerce successful. Having said that, I will also say that being purely vertical is also a challenge in terms of scale. So when you're looking at some serious economies of scale and numbers and critical mass, a company like ours, we do partner with the big boys in terms of marketplaces, Flipkart, etc. And we sell our products through them. But at every point in time, we ensure that we will have definitely a product, portfolio or a catalog benefit or advantage, and we will have a price advantage. And therefore, we believe that the Indian consumer will probably come to us over a period of time to get the best products available.
So Vikram, how do you in your, now that you've got this side up, etc., how do you see that in your vertical area?
Yeah,
What's your experience there?
So, I mean, for us also, being a vertical e-commerce player doesn't mean that we are exactly like one of the categories of the horizontal. For us, it's a way deeper engagement. So, I think we didn't start Furnish thinking that we will be an online retailer first. I think for us, the motive was to be a brand first. And very simple reason for that is large market, completely unorganized, organized retail has not taken off in the offline. So here, this is a channel which potentially can help solve this problem of buying furniture and home furnishings in a fun manner and in a much more enjoyable manner. So that's how we started thinking about it, and hence our approach has again, as the other two said, been very different, right? So right from the fact that every furniture, for example, has videos or it has like detailed images. I don't think any horizontal player today does that, right? We have over 20 images which are done in a lifestyle shot, as well as from all different angle aspects, functionality to be brought out. I think, and with an item like furniture, you need that kind of engagement with the customer, otherwise you can't sell it. It's a large purchase after all. Similar thing with videos. We have few partner offline stores which are again an extension of the brand that we are trying to build, taking their virtual experience and trying to also bring it in live to our customers. So there are a variety of those things that come together in building this. But again, from our perspective, this is not selling the offline, the horizontal way of just either on price or assortment. I think it's way deeper than that. So for us, for example, the assortment is highly differentiated in terms of what we sell.
Thank you. Only you have a few minutes of what?
Yes. Okay, so building on the argument further, basis what Samir said, I have a few fundamental challenges in my mind on the business model, and let me try and elaborate. Look at e-commerce in general. The math is pretty simple. Using digital marketing or whatever spends that you have, you try and acquire the customer at a specific cost of customer acquisition. Let's pick a number, 1,500 rupees is what it costs. From all the spends that you do on Google, Facebook, Yahoo, etc., you get X clicks of that Y convert, and therefore your net cost per customer acquired, let's say, is 1,500 rupees. You try and recover that cost over a period of time, over X number of purchases, and that's called lifetime value. Let's take a 12-month or an 18-month lifetime value. You hope that on every transaction you're making a certain margin, and when the customer comes and repeats with you over a time frame, you recover the cost of customer acquisition, and then you start making money from the customer. That's basic math, e-commerce 101. My challenge with vertical e-commerce is as follows. One, given the fact that you're playing in a niche, and perhaps the search volumes in Google might be lower than the mainland categories such as Apple and electronics and so on and so forth, the cost per click might just be on the higher side. I'm making an assumption. I've seen some such categories. Perhaps they might have different experiences, and it will be great to hear that. One, cost per click is higher, which actually results potentially in a higher cost of customer acquire. Point number one. Point number two, sure, It's okay to have higher cost of customers acquired in the hope that you can actually recover it with a bigger margin per purchase. But when the horizontal e-commerce sites are also playing in a vertical play, your margins, again, you don't have the luxury to charge high margins. So again, you have problem number 2, unable to recover the cost of customer acquired. Number 3, frequency of purchase. In many categories, you know what the frequency of purchase is, maybe once in 9 months or once in 12 months. Take furniture example, you don't buy furniture every 3 odd months, whereas in a horizontal e-commerce site, you can actually cross-sell categories, right? Today I go to buy a t-shirt, tomorrow I go to buy a pen drive, day after tomorrow I go to buy a cell phone case, and so on and so forth. You actually get to cross-sell, get the customer back again and again, do cross-sell and upsell, which actually helps you recover the cost of customer acquisition spent on day one much faster because you can drive frequency of purchases. In a vertical context, I am still not clear in my mind, and perhaps the panel is, as to what is the right strategy to acquire the to recover the cost of customer acquisition and start making money. So the fundamental question that I am asking is, given this construct of an e-commerce business model, how does a vertical e-commerce site make money?
So that question, I suppose,
Hi. So I'm going to take a shot at it, but I'm going to put the industry that I'm in, or the category that I'm in, and talk about that. So it's said that we work extremely closely with different marketplaces. We work with Snapdeal, Flipkart, eBay, Rediff, Shopclose, you name it, we're there. And what we do is we really understand that these guys help us with scale in terms of marketing, in terms of the customer traction that they have. And what we want to do is we want to make it worth their while to promote our exclusive
but
products.
why is it that they are not doing that kind?
Because today they're not doing it because they don't have that static, they don't have the exclusive products with them. They rely on people like us to supply them with these products. So if I have 20 brands.
The fact is that you were exclusive.
Yes.
That's why you are.
That is
for
why.
example, in Richa's case, Richa, how would you see? Sorry, this time.
So in my case also, I think you have to eventually narrow down the funnel. So for example, for us, we have already finalized and tied up with something called Lego Education. So Lego as a retail product, Lego is one of the top 3 brands in the toy market. And as a retail product, it is available in India, but as a school product, it is not available in India, which is again a very big market. I think the idea is to not stop here. The idea is to get detailed. So once you have their school products, then you are again retailing it even directly to schools. Yes, getting original products really helps. But let me now twist it the other way around and play Murli's way. So when I go to a toy fair, I have somebody from Reliance there, I have somebody from Tata's there, and you know we have somebody from Birla's there looking at the products. And people, and this is an exclusive toy fair where people come and put an order for toys. So I'm assuming somebody from Hamleys is buying directly from toy fairs and they need not come to firstly a distributor like me or even a biggest distributor in a country like Fun School. So how do we differentiate? I know of companies, of large companies who've done this for 2 to 3 years and they've stopped doing it because they do not have enough depth to understand what will sell, at what price it will sell and why it will sell. Eventually you need a person or you need a team of people who understand the market a bit more.
Vikram, you have your experience on this?
Yeah, I think this is this is a core element of the business, right? Customer life cycle value, and how quickly can you break even on a customer? And this is an important question in a category like ours. Repeat rate, yes, repeat rate of course cannot be as great as you would see for horizontal with multiple categories, but what you do have is you have much higher margins and you have higher basket sizes. And a combination of that helps you to recover almost all of your spending on that customer in the first purchase itself. And when you are doing that, of course, returns are always important, but you know the trade-off there kind of matches. So definitely the higher margins that you get helps you. And again, I'm going back to the same point that it's not always the discounts or the same product whether you can get on an X versus Y player here. Because these are actually unique products, right? This is something that you don't get elsewhere, which brings the customer to your website.
Yeah.
Just to add a small point here, if you have to advertise for buy toys in India in Google AdWords, it costs more than buy Lego in India or buy Barbie in India. So it's actually cheaper.
Okay, fine. So, when I listen to all three of you, I'm sorry, but everybody seems to be very passionate. They don't believe in that. So, but that doesn't stop you. But I have a question. Maybe you can help us answer that. What I see is that, I heard this whole thing about building a brand in verticalizing. While you're verticalizing the e-commerce, build a brand. So there's That's Personal, there's Yellow Giraffe, there's Fab Furnish, etc. So somewhere down the line, do you believe that the leading brands in these categories might want to do some kind of a captive embedding of content, etc. Are you folks looking at that? You're looking at that? Okay.
Even for us, like we're working with a big company, German company called Simbadeki, and the kind of pictures that they are looking to give us is of the same quality that is being provided in Germany, which are 3D pictures, because they do see value in what we are offering.
So, Rudy, you want to say something to that? Sorry, that's it for one. Okay. So, what's the advice you want to give them with your experience in terms of how do they scale within their categories? Or do you believe that there's no way that they can scale?
No, I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that. Okay, look, I'm only trying to be the counterpoint
Yes,
here.
absolutely.
Right? Not that I have anything personal against verticalization of e-commerce, but I'm just trying to make this entire discussion multifaceted. In terms of advice, again, nothing to do with the fact that I come from a company which used to be, which is still a marketplace, but in terms of ability to scale, I think what Samir is doing is absolutely the right thing. What Samir is doing is he's selling on marketplaces which already have existing traffic, they have existing demand, they know they have search queries for the kind of products these people are operating in, and it's absolutely fine to go tap into that demand because the marketplace is doing all the marketing, and therefore you don't have cost of customer acquisition. What you have is transaction volume. It keeps the business going, right? It takes care of perhaps the fixed cost problem might know in some ways, and that's a great way to start. Why do you focus on building the brand? But the big challenge is how do you actually build the brand? I mean, do you actually have dollars in the bank to go and build a brand? Because ultimately, if somebody has to remember a vertical player vis-a-vis a horizontal player, there has to be something about your value prop that's sticking at the back of the consumer's mind. In today's e-commerce market in India, I believe some of the vertical fashion and apparel players have managed to do that. A couple of home decor players are coming close to doing it, but the rest of them to me is a blur, right? They don't come to my mind when I think of 2-3 places to shop for bags, for example, or shop for stationery and pens and so on and so forth. Those online players don't come to my mind, and therefore the big challenge is, hey, how do you even make money to go build that brand? But that said, getting volume from marketplaces while focusing on building the brand is a piece of advice I'll definitely reinforce.
Okay, so I think we've had almost 30 minutes of discussion. Thank you very much. But I want to open up to the audience out here. I think some interesting points which they've talked about. So I think I would like to open up to the audience if you have any questions. Anybody out there? Yeah. Please give your name and who do you want to address the question to?
Yeah, hi. My name is Bhavin. I would like to address the question to Samir. Samir, when you ship the products, how do you pack it and you send to people?
Yeah, so in terms of overall discrete delivery, there are two parts that we look at. We look at it prior to the customer purchasing and post the customer purchasing. So prior, we're one of the few e-commerce sites who believe very strongly in guest checkout. Every other site says, please register. And we say, no, just buy and leave. So we do a lot of guest checkout and most of our orders sort of come from there. The second thing that we do is what we call absolutely tamper-proof packaging. So this is again fairly standard. A lot of other people are now doing it where the product cannot be opened very easily. The third thing we do is from the time the product leaves the warehouse to the time the customer opens this tamper-proof packaging with a scissor, nobody in the delivery chain should know what's inside. So that's an interesting one. There's a guy that you buy, let's say, cash on delivery. Somebody comes to deliver the product to you. He asks you for the money. He does not know what is inside. A little bit of IP there in terms of how we do it and how we've cracked it. I don't want to share that publicly, but I can definitely talk to you offline and tell you how we do it.
I just wanted to add to that. Ask you that. Do you mention that's personal on the package?
No, we don't. It's not on the credit card bill. It's not on the invoice. think one of the most unique things that we do is something known as customer self-pickup. And for that, I mean, there are a lot of people today who are not comfortable ordering these products and receiving these products at their house or at the office. And I'm sure if I put a wave, show of hands, a lot of you all will say, look, we probably want to buy these products from you, but please don't send it to our house. So what we did very differently was we said, okay, give us your PIN code. We will map it at the back end in terms of our logistic partners' offices. And you can pick and choose the office that you believe will give you convenience in your neighborhood and city. And the product gets delivered there. Again, nobody in the delivery sort of knows what's inside. They will call you and then you can go pick it up. You can go yourself, you can send your friend, brother, sister, girlfriend, boyfriend, driver, maid, anybody. But you control that last mile. And today we have a significant number of orders coming in from this kind of delivery service, and we're the only people in the country doing this. Thanks.
I have a question for Samir before the next question. What percentage of deliveries happen with this reverse pickup orders?
Almost 20%, which is a huge figure.
Which is a huge one.
And this is only available now in 24 cities. We launched with 12 cities. We got a lot of people saying, why aren't you putting this in our city? So we cracked it and now taking it up to 24, and we hope to take it up even further.
Earlier, in the earlier panel, people talked about innovation and people talked about cash on delivery, if I'm not mistaken. So do you believe this is an alternative to cash on delivery? I mean, it encourages the person to buy because there's a...
Yeah, it does. So the difference is that in what we call customer self-pickup, the order has to be prepaid. Otherwise, it doesn't work for us. I mean, people will order and not go and pick it up. It's not my fault. But we do realize that a lot of people don't mind spending and getting it prepaid for this convenience of ensuring it doesn't reach their house.
Thanks. There was a question,
Yeah, hi, I'm Aparna. I wanted to know from Richa and of course from the panel, since scale is such an issue in vertical players, do you see opening brick and mortar stores, with your specific branding and things like that? And what are the ways in which you can build a brand? Are you looking at other channels and specifically brick and mortar stores?
Yeah, actually, that was a great question. Thank you. You stole that question. I was going to actually ask the panel, which I forgot, was that because you have building these brands online, is there a case where you may, in the future, what she's saying, take them offline? So maybe you can.
I think I would love to say that the answer to your question is yes, that there should be a case for anybody who's looking to build a brand to retail via as many outlets as they can. Whether that's a brick and mortar store, whether that's an e-commerce channel, or even otherwise, even if they want to co-partner with other, let's say somebody does something that's personal, and if I'm doing lingerie, why not? Even with that.
What about Vikram?
We strongly believe in being able to reach out to customers in as many ways possible. We already have 4 partner stores, a couple of them in NCR, a couple of them in Bangalore, and we plan to do more. So yes, that's a fundamental, one of the important aspects of what we are trying to build.
So you never had a retail store before, you've completely online and now moving to these.
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. Something you were saying?
Yeah, so fantastic question. Just to rewind, I think we are one of the only categories in India which is today 100% available online, 0% offline. And the reason is because this category didn't exist earlier. But what we decided to do was to launch first online with That's Personal being a direct-to-consumer channel. Phase 2 is to be across all the marketplaces where we've achieved. Phase 3 is really to have products in certain offline environments. For example, lubricants should go in pharmacies. And phase 4 for us is that different categories need to go to different retail, whether it's large format or smaller formats in terms of just having an omni-channel distribution network. So the answer is yes, there are aspirations to go offline, and we believe that end of the day, wherever the customer wants to buy from, he will, but you need to be present there.
Any other questions? Yeah.
Hi, my name is Govind. Just a quick question. This is an alternate perspective, but could we say verticalization is one other way to enter the market by finding a niche, and then as you're scaling, you expand to more categories?
Great question. I think, would you like to take that?
Okay, I have 2 data points to believe that could be true. But that doesn't mean that's the convincing argument. Frankly, that was Amazon's entry strategy, right? Started with books, media, and so on and so forth. And that was Flipkart's startup strategy in India too. So here are two data points that show that you can start with a vertical, in this case specifically books, which in India, in the offline world, there were challenges with variety, availability, and so on and so forth, which Flipkart and also Flipkart very effectively solved, gained some traction, got investor money, and was able to scale across various horizontal categories. Now, just because Flipkart managed to do that, just because Amazon managed to do that, it will be tough for us to make a leap of faith judgment and believing that pretty much everyone else would be able to do it, because outside of these two, as you were asking this question, I was trying to jog my mind and trying to find other examples. I can't think of any other examples. Perhaps the panel might, but I'm not able to think of other examples. So don't assume these two are final.
Just a follow-on question to that. Assuming what you said is true, what would be the other way to scale within a certain vertical? Would you not want to expand your categories and maybe meet more needs of your existing customers?
Look, it is a function of the size of the category offline and how interested the customer is in purchasing that online. Like I said, not all vertical categories online are today challenged. Apparel is not. Apparel shopping online in apparel is perhaps a done thing amongst a certain section of the internet user today. And there could be a couple of other categories edging in that direction. That doesn't mean that, look, all vertical categories are challenged. Like over a period of time, people get really comfortable with shopping for various stuff in horizontals. And large offline categories, for example, home and garden is a large category offline, including kitchen and living and so on and so forth. That's going online. Apparel, clothing, shoes, accessories is a large category online. Now that's going, large category offline, that's going online. Electronics has always been a large category offline, but standalone electronics in e-commerce is a huge challenge because it's such a margin-thin category. It probably doesn't make sense to have a standalone electronics vertical business in India. So some categories are more ready than others because it's more a function of the size of the offline market and people over a period of time transitioning to shopping online, but primarily in the horizontals first before they shift to verticals.
Anyone else before we conclude? Okay, so the last panel session ended on a joke of a panty. So my question is to Samir, would you ever have that personal lingerie?
Yes, of course, we do have it. We have a
That
lot.
answers your question that he's going to look at it probably another way to even distribute it not only online, right?
Yeah. So the thing is, just to answer your question, yeah, when you launch, we always look and say, look, can we be the next Amazon? Can we be the next Flipkart? How do we look at a brand name which we start with X, move to Y, Z, A, B, C. But at some point, I believe it's also important to have focus, have differentiation, and as Murthy says, if your category is large enough for you for the next 5 to 10 years to milk, there's no reason to be just another Flipkart or an Amazon, and probably you don't have those skill sets or that place is already taken. You can't have 10 different Amazons available or 10 different Flipkarts, so you need to figure out what you want to do, where you want to be, and how to be profitable within your niche. And is that niche big enough for you to be profitable in?
Great. Thank you very much, panelists. I think you've been a real awesome set of panelists. I'm very passionate about what you believe in, and all the best to you.